hearty welcome to one and all. This is episode 128 of the Confessions of a Not So Dangerous Mind podcast. I'd like to thank you all for spending some of your very rainy and miserable late Saturday afternoon into early evening here in New York. If you're checking out this episode on the YouTube channel or enjoying the content and haven't done so already, please click like, subscribe, share, comment, turn on those notifications. Or if you end up catching this episode on the audio platforms such as Spotify or iTunes, same general rule applies. Click like, subscribe, share, and turn on those notifications. So today we're going to even the score. So far we've had 9 episodes of the Greatest Movie You've Never Seen series and 8 episodes of the Most Underrated Film Performances series. So episode 9 in the Most Underrated Film Performances series is going to be a surprise for many of you who probably haven't seen this movie, but even some who have. It's way more likely that elder millennials, Gen Xers, and boomers have seen this movie and the performance I'm talking about, but maybe it didn't hit the same way as it hits me. The movie is Steven Zaillian's 1993 absolute masterpiece, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know how rare that is. Searching for Bobby Fischer, which is a movie about the real-life young chess genius named Josh Waitzkin, and his father, his mother, and the people in his life, all represented by some of the most brilliant actors in Hollywood, really then or now, but especially at the time when this movie came out more than 3 decades ago. But the performance in particular that I'm going to spotlight is Joan Allen, whose career was really just getting going at this particular point in time. Now, she has a terrific role in Francis Coppola's Peggy Sue Got Married as one of Kathleen Turner as the main character, Peggy Sue, one of her friends, and she registers very strongly in that film. And another film from the same year, 1986, Michael Mann's adaptation of Thomas Harris's Red Dragon, Manhunter, that was also remade as Red Dragon, or rebooted, or whatever word you want to use, where they put Anthony Hopkins, again, kind of back in time in a weird way, as Hannibal Lecter. But Joan Allen is an actress who did a lot of good work in that era, and then all of a sudden in the 90s, she became a star, where she began to headline movies, and she's phenomenal in the 2000 film, The Contender, where she plays a vice presidential candidate of the United States. So this movie and her role in Searching for Bobby Fischer absolutely furthered her career. Even though she's not the star, her character is very much a supporting player in this particular movie. It pushed her career into another level to where she was looked upon as, well, she can do more than just play the dutiful wife, the dutiful mom. This is a really talented actress, and she is capable of a lot more than she has been asked. And then later, as time went on, she was nominated for 3 Oscars, 2 for supporting and 1 for lead, if I am correct. But I'm going to double check that. I think the movies are The Crucible, which was a supporting actress. Yeah, so she was nominated for supporting actress twice. And the one time she was nominated for best actress was The Contender, where I got to tell you, she could have very easily won. Where she plays a vice presidential candidate who is fighting just a barrage of disgusting, awful allegations against her character, kind of levied by yet another great Gary Oldman villainous performance. Although this is more of a believable. He's not, yes, he's chewing scenery. You know, we know he's an asshole because he chain smokes, because he eats red meat, like that kind of thing. But his character he's pretty bad. And Jeff Bridges in that movie as the president is extraordinary. It's my favorite Jeff Bridges performance that is also not super well known. But Joan Allen was capable of doing that level and just hadn't been given the opportunity to show. And in Searching for Bobby Fischer, she plays the mom of the main character, of Josh. And it's the kind of performance that sneaks up on you. It's not loud or flashy, But her character, we realize at the end, especially if you're like me and you pay attention to these things, with everybody in the narrative who is critical. You have Josh, and the young actor Max Pomeranc is really amazing in what he does and how he comes across, because I don't think he was really particularly well trained as an actor, and he makes you believe that he's this chess genius. You know, a lot of people watched the HBO TV show about the young chess prodigy, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, and I didn't see that. The Queen's Gambit, for those who, and many of you I'm sure were familiar with this. Joe Mantegna plays the father, a real-life reporter for the New York Times, Fred Waitskin. So he had certain connections even back in the day before we were all connected on social media. He knew a lot of people who knew a lot of people. And when we realize, and it's actually the mom who realizes first, Joan Allen, that her son, who has not played chess, we're not talking about someone who was from the womb was playing chess or playing tennis or some other kind of sport or activity where we see these incredible prodigies develop pretty much out of thin air. Well, out of genetic potential that gets tapped into. But what we find from Joan Allen's performance is she's almost the eyes of the audience very early. There's a scene in Washington Square Park, incredible mistake that I made. Part of this movie was filmed near where I went to school. I hadn't gone there yet. I was about a year away from beginning NYU when this movie came out. But there were grandmasters who used to play chess in the park, and people near the grandmaster level used to play matches for money, chess matches for money in the park. And Joan Allen takes her son, who is clearly intelligent, but he's a kid. He's a 7-year-old boy. If you met him, you wouldn't automatically say, "Holy shit, what a genius," unless he sat down to play chess, in which case you would say, "Holy shit, he's fucking genius." She takes her son into the park because he seems interested, and he sits down to play chess. And the first time he plays, he fights back and nearly defeats what we're led to believe was somebody who was once one of the best chess players in Russia. It's his first time playing chess. Now, right away, Joan Allen, as the mom, calculates there is something special about Josh. There is something different about my son, our son. And then there's an incredible early scene where Josh plays against his dad, played really wonderfully by Joe Mantegna. And again, she's commenting the way that we were, where Joe Mantegna is not getting the fact that you can't beat your son in chess. You know how to play, but he's already operating at a level that can't be explained because he has received no formal training, and he's moving pieces around like somebody who's been doing this for decades. So using the connections that I talked about, Joe Mantegna asks a lot of questions and finds a, again, real life chess expert / chess coach. Nowadays, I feel like they would use the word consultant, but he is a coach who claims to be retired, named Bruce Pandolfini, and he's played beautifully by Sir Ben Kingsley. Another amazing performance from him, a guy who never took a movie off. Ben Kingsley kills every role. Even in shitty movies, he's great. They didn't knight him by accident. You know, he's not Sir Ben Kingsley just, well, what does that mean? It means that he has contributed humongously to cinema. And even back then, and especially back then, he was banging out one great performance after another, from his supporting actor turn as far as being nominated for Bugsy. And he's great in the movie Dave, which I talked about on the channel with regards to Kevin Kline's performance. He comes in late in the movie and really makes an impression. And you have another character, another incredible actor, Lawrence Fishburne, Oscar-nominated actor, Morpheus himself, who plays a chess hustler who plays in Washington Square Park, literally plays chess for money. And he is a phenomenal chess player, and he is the person who immediately realizes, from a chess strategy perspective, he watches Josh's first game against the Russian genius, and he kind of calls out to Joan Allen as the mom, "Your boy used pieces in combination to attack." And somebody else says, "Young Fischer." Now, the title, for people who don't know what Searching for Bobby Fischer actually means, Bobby Fischer, even now, is generally regarded to be the most talented chess player who ever lived. Now, we don't actually know, there's no way to quantify that. There's no way to quantify how would Bobby Fischer have done against Anatoly Karpov or Garry Kasparov or Magnus Carlsen or any of the kind of geniuses. Alexandra Botez, the woman who also plays poker, she's a poker assassin on top of being a chess assassin. There's more money to be made playing poker, as Magnus Carlsen has also found. So you can't really quantify this, but Bobby Fischer was somebody who won World Chess Championships, was regarded as the greatest chess player who ever lived. He had a different mind for chess. He did not process data like a normal person. Bobby Fischer had an IQ, the level of Albert Einstein, the level of Stanley Kubrick. He was not a normal, very smart person. Bobby Fischer was Bobby Fischer. He was a genius. And after he had all of these incredible achievements and started to show signs of neurological something or other, he disappeared. The title of this movie, Searching for Bobby Fischer, is a symbolic, figurative title. They're not looking for the real Bobby Fischer, who reappeared about a year or so before this movie came out, and then promptly disappeared again. As ridiculous as that is. They're looking for the next chess prodigy who could be like Bobby Fischer. And so with all of these characters, and Lawrence Fishburne's street chess hustler, Vinny, has a good heart, and he loves the kid's game, and the father is just trying to get the best training for his son, so his son can presumably go on, and he's not going to make that much money, but go on to become, I guess, the best child prodigy chess player in the country. You're not really sure, because this is not tennis. This is not Jennifer Capriati at age 9, beating anyone in the country under the age of 12. That is how much of a prodigy Jennifer Capriati is. Or Andre Agassi, by the time he was 15, absolutely plastering anyone in the 18 and unders. I mean, Agassi hit the pro circuit. Was he even 17? Tennis, you could do and make a shit ton of money, especially as we saw with Jennifer Capriati, who unfortunately burned out, but then came back and had the kind of career, in summation, where she more or less justified the incredible talent that she showed. But chess is different, because except in very rare circumstances, you're not going to make a ton of money being a chess player the way you would if you were a prodigy in something like tennis. Or even if you were a magician with a musical instrument in your hand. So you have these characters who are not bad people, but they are all so driven on Josh getting to whatever this finish line is that they think he can get to. Whether it's Sir Ben as Bruce Pandolfini, the chess coach, whether it's Joe Mantegna as the father, Fred Waitzkin, and we know he loves his son. He's not presented as a bad dad or a bad person. And Lawrence Fishburne's Vinny, they're all presented as okay people. But their motivations for the kid don't always seem like they're coming from the best place. They're coming from places where they want a little bit of slice of the glory, even if it's just on their ego, that they help to push this kid to heights. And Joan Allen, in her quiet way, she never raises, or rarely, I should say, raises her voice or acts like she's the star of the movie. But she makes her presence felt and heard throughout, sometimes with just a glance, and other times in a more direct way. He is decent. He is just a child. And if anybody tries to take those things away from him, fuck all y'all. I'm just going to make sure that doesn't happen. She forms the emotional and moral compass and center of the film. And she does it in such a subtle way that we're not even aware that she's doing it. Joe Mantegna is in way more of this movie than Joan Allen. I barely remember any line of dialogue that he has. He has moments where he gets snippy with characters who aren't taking the son seriously, but from the wrong angle. And Joan Allen's character essentially redirects him. You're angry because they're not respecting the fact that our son might be the best chess player in the world under the age of 10. You're acting as if you're doing this, and you're treating him almost like a prop. You're looking at what kind of glory, because is it going to make you feel better? Does it justify you as a father? Maybe we're not looking at this the way that we need to be looking at this. Maybe the most important thing for Josh is to have a normal childhood while playing chess. But when we look back, and this is something that parents have struggled with and their children, there's nothing new. This goes on now, where you have people who are super motivated and treating their kids who have these incredible gifts, you hate to say as props, but there's a level where you're encouraging them to be their best self and where you yourself are obsessed with their successes and failures. And it's a kind of a terrible moment in the film, but it rings so true, where Josh seems to lose a match on purpose because he's tired of his whole life being chess. He seems to punt on purpose or be unfocused or whatever, however you want to slice it. And Joe Mantegna as Fred is almost dressing him down as if he has done something terrible. When all he has done, he's a 7, maybe by this point he's 8, he's lost a game of chess. He didn't cost a family their home or anything. He lost a chess match to someone he should have beaten. OMG, Fred. OM-fucking-G. And it's moments like that where we become even more invested in the story and we say, my God, this is horrendous. This is what these children go through? The parents are like this? Yeah, sports parents. You wouldn't expect it in chess. And there's another incredible scene in the movie, and it's right in the kind of wheelhouse of what I was talking about with Joan Allen's character being very canny and understanding fucking parents here are the problem. And everybody who wants a taste of the glory, whatever that might be, where the parents are starting to act unruly at a chess tournament, and the officials basically lock them in a fucking basement so that they can shut up and let the kids play their fucking games. And it's many people consider the highlight of the movie. So as the story develops, and there are these moments of rapprochement between the characters, there is still the sense that Josh can achieve something extraordinary, that he has it in him to be great. And this is the kind of balance that feels very real. And the movie does not beat you over the head trying to get you to identify and say, well, in this instance, chess could be a metaphor for anything else that you decide. It's subtle, but it's also dead on accurate, that there is a level between achievement, obsession, madness. And the movie is arguing in favor. It's not arguing against achievement. No, it is not saying it's bad that this kid does this, or even that the kid gets training and works hard. As we see moments where Sir Ben Kingsley, as Bruce Pandolfini, he does some stuff that's really not okay. Talking to a child in a certain way, not cool, and being very demanding. But later movies, 20 years later, the movie Whiplash, totally different because you're talking about people who are late high school or college age in that movie. Miles Teller's character, J.K. Simmons, incredible. But that movie is taking a similar tack where is it ever okay to be borderline abusive, or in the case of the movie Whiplash, not even borderline, to be abusive if you believe that's how you get the best out of the people that you were being paid to teach, to train, to make the most out of their talent. It's not really a question with an answer. This movie doesn't soft pedal any of that, but at the same time, it shows there is more to life than chess, even if you might be the next Bobby Fischer. And the fact that the real Bobby Fischer struggled with mental illness and all kinds of, and by the way, this has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but there's a movie called Pawn Sacrifice that was made about 10 years ago. It is one of Tobey Maguire's best performances. He plays Bobby Fischer, and he really nails that role, really crushes it. And Liev Schreiber plays his old rival Boris Spassky. Well, at the time he wasn't his old rival; they were contemporaries. But Bobby Fischer is a cautionary tale, and the movie kind of gets into that by invoking the name and people understanding. It may have been the pressure of being so great. It may have just been the fact that his IQ was so high, that he was so intensely brilliant that it was a matter of time before he was going to crack and go off the deep end. But everyone has a breaking point. Whether you're 7 years old, whether you're 70, whether you're 30. And as the character of Josh is pushed and pushed, it's on Joan Allen to redirect everyone's energies, to make sure, hey, I'm not saying I don't want the kid to play chess, but let's get a little perspective. He's still a kid. Don't take that away. And so the story goes forth to like a national championship type of a thing. So it takes the form, I hate to say it takes the form of a Rocky movie. This all really happened, but it takes the form of a Rocky movie in that it's hard to make a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old boy look intimidating, but the way that the movie presents the best chess player in Josh's age bracket in this movie, they do a great job. I remember watching the movie in my early 20s, and I'm scared of this kid too. Remember what Mr. Miyagi said in A Karate Kid. No such thing as bad student, only bad teacher. And this movie was going down a path where Bruce Pandolfini was starting to resemble a bad teacher, and Joe Mantegna, as the father, Fred Waitzkin, is starting to resemble a bad showbiz parent, so to speak. We see the chess coach of this monster, terrifying 8-year-old or however old chess player who is the best. That's not how you do it. Don't brag about the fact that your kid does nothing other than eat, sleep, shit, and chess. Play chess, practice chess, read chess, memorize sequences of opening moves, checkmate from how many different positions. Not how you do it. Oh, I should also point out William H. Macy, another great actor who we know him from Shameless nowadays, Fargo, back in the day, Air Force One as a Secret Service agent. He's great. He plays one of the parents in this movie, and it is another phenomenal William H. Macy performance, kind of a under the radar, brilliant performance from a guy everybody says, this guy, what a fucking great actor he is. He's so good. And he worked with Joan Allen more directly years later with Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon in Pleasantville. This movie, though, has a moment. It has a moment that is so powerful. And in this instance, this is not a Joan Allen moment. Although at the end, when they're all gathered for, I guess you could say, the finals of this enormous tournament that the movie has built towards. Hollywood is often at its best when it engages in what we call setups for payoffs, or planting and payoff, callbacks. Dirty Harry, in the original Dirty Harry, the opening shootout, he gives his famous speech, "Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?" Where he is teasing the idea of, I may be out of ammunition. I only got a 6-shooter here and I didn't reload. Maybe I shot 5 shots, or maybe I shot 6. You want to take that risk, pal? I'm right here. I ain't going nowhere. He says the line at the beginning, and then at the end of the movie, under much more dire circumstances, he spits the line back at the bad guy. In the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, there is a moment, and bear this in mind, I know nothing about chess. I have never played chess. People always told me I'd have been good at it. I played checkers, I played Scrabble as a boy. I never played chess. This movie is so good, you don't need to understand anything about chess. It still works. And I don't know how they managed to do that and make a movie, because Pawn Sacrifice, as much as I like that movie, I was a little bit lost at various points because I don't understand chess. This movie makes it accessible to everyone. And as I say, I'm not familiar. I never watched The Queen's Gambit. I like Anya Taylor-Joy. She's great, but I never watched the show. So I don't know if that goes into heavy chess strategy or gamesmanship. I have no idea. But from the perspective of performance and moments in the movie, at an earlier moment in this film where Sir Ben Kingsley's character is still coming across overly antagonistic, given that he's trying to help a small child to unlock the greatness within, as we've been saying, and the balance and what does all that mean. It's not enough for Josh to just be great at chess, in his mind. For Joan Allen's character, it is. It's okay if he does not become the next Fischer. He's my son. I love him. That's good enough. But the film, as we say, goes on as real life that Josh continued to play. And in the world of the movie, Ben Kingsley's character in an earlier scene is reminding him there are certain moments in the match where you will look at the board and you will know that if you put forth a correct sequence of moves, you win. You haven't won yet. You might be 11 moves away. But you can visualize on the board. You have that kind of talent, Josh. You can visualize on the board and take your time. You have time. And concentrate. And then the line from Ben Kingsley, my favorite Ben Kingsley moment in an incredible career. Don't move until you see it. Don't move until you see it. And here's a moment, not surprisingly, this is one of my favorite setup for payoff, planting and payoff moments in any film, where Josh, in the pivotal championship match, is losing early and he's in trouble. And his opponent, who is, I guess we're supposed to believe he's a slightly better chess player because he lives, eats, sleeps, shits, breathes chess. But Josh's natural talent is maybe greater. He's just not as practiced a player at this juncture. So the kid makes a little bit of a weird move, and then Josh starts to turn the tables on him. And we're almost like the audience, and Joe Mantegna, who doesn't really understand what's doing, and Joan Allen, who doesn't. But the other two people in the scene who do, Bruce Pandolfini, a.k.a. Sir Ben Kingsley, and Lawrence Fishburne's Vinny, the street hustler, they know what's happening, which is that Josh just turned this around, and now suddenly we're looking good. There's a few more moves, and all of a sudden, we see the board, and Josh gets a look on his face. And Ben Kingsley, not Lawrence Fishburne, also gets a look on his face, and he basically calls out, "It's there. It's there." What's there? It's 12 moves away, but if Josh takes a minute, it's his. The championship is his. And as everyone holds their breath, Max Pomeranc, as Josh, looks and looks and looks, and then all of a sudden, we see it on video at the time, and Ben Kingsley realizes from the look on the kid's face, he's got it. And then the moment in the movie which shows us just how much Joan Allen, as the mom, has gotten to Josh and gotten to the other characters. Josh has this moment, and Ben Kingsley is almost tickled with glee because Josh is going to win the championship because he's got it. And as Ben Kingsley says, he's got it. But Ben repeats the line before he realizes it, as Josh is checking out the board and taking his time. Don't move until you see it. Ben says it. It's reverberated beautifully, and presumably we're led to believe that Josh realizes this is that moment in this match. Don't move until you see it. It's yours if you wait. So as Josh realizes the end game, and Ben Kingsley says with this almost boy-like smile, he's got it. Josh does something unexpected. He sticks his paw out across the table to his opponent. The opponent says, well, what's that supposed to mean? The kid said, I'm offering you a draw. And Ben Kingsley, who before Joan Allen got on his case, got on Fred's case, and to a lesser extent got on Vinny's case about let my son be a little boy first. He smiles. Ben Kingsley smiles. He's okay with the fact that the kid is not so cutthroat that all he wants to do is win. He sticks his paw across and says, I'm offering you a draw. If you take the draw, we both win the championship. We'll share it. Here you go. Kid refuses to take the draw. He does not think that he is beaten because if you just look at the pieces, he appears to be in the lead. All of Joan Allen's quiet moments in the film of trying to preserve the humanity of her boy in the face of people only seeming to care about his achievement, his super achievement. Ben Kingsley's delight that the kid is being kid and being kind in this moment of incredible competition. He's offering him a draw. He says it in an incredible way. It's a great line reading. He can't believe it. And it's like, he also can't believe that he thinks this is the greatest thing. Because earlier in the movie, he would have been like, stomp his guts out, Josh. Fuck this guy. And we realize that Joan's character has informed the actions of everyone in this movie on that side, on Josh's side. Because needless to say, the kid doesn't take the draw. He doesn't realize he's beaten. And Josh has given him, as we say in poker, he's given him an out. It's okay. It's a tough match. You had the advantage. You maybe made a mistake. And now I'm going to win, but we don't have to play it this way. Fuck you. Okay. That's how you want to do it. If you really don't want to share the championship, you're just going to lose. Let's play it out. And as Ben Kingsley said, Josh saw the end game and boom, 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 boom. Match over, tournament over, championship over. Josh Waitzkin is the winner. And the movie leaves us feeling, it leaves us in a really good mood. It leaves us elated, but in the best possible way. Not in the sort of rocky, rah-rah way. There's nothing wrong with that. But it leaves us feeling like these people, these different personalities, from Ben as a chess coach, Lawrence Fishburne as the chess hustler, and Joan Allen as the mom, and Joe Mantegna as the dad. These different personalities all managed to coalesce, thanks to Joan Allen, the kind of quiet center and spirit and gravity of the film. Changing their minds, tilting their thinking just enough to get on the same page where everybody was on the same page. It's the essence of what a great supporting performance can be. And I know she was nominated for The Crucible, a movie that got a lot of acclaim. That's not an easy play from Arthur Miller. It's a difficult play. And Daniel Day-Lewis, another one of his, super intense performances. Joan Allen should have been nominated, Searching for Bobby Fischer. And it's amazing. As I say, the film is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, and by the way, it's streaming on, if you get Paramount Plus and or Showtime, you don't have to pay extra to rent it. But it didn't do well at the box office. 93 was an incredible summer for movies, and I guess people were just petered out by the end of the summer. And Steven Zaillian wrote the screenplay for Schindler's List, which was the big winner at the Oscars, the following spring. He wrote and directed Searching for Bobby Fischer. It is a beautiful movie. It is easily a top 10 sports film. And 100% on Rotten Tomatoes does not lie. I don't know anybody chess fan or not, who has seen that movie and doesn't say, I fucking love that movie. And it's a kind of film you can watch again and again. There are so many wonderful scenes. And even when things take a little bit of a downturn, it's still gripping and riveting. And the performances are all so solid and so entertaining. But without Joan Allen, the movie doesn't work. Without the seemingly thankless role of the mom, the throwaway role, which is not thankless and not throwaway at all. Because every moment in the movie, in particular the second half, is informed by her character's forceful, albeit quiet, but forceful worldview, viewpoint. This is how we're going to treat Josh. And this is how I want Josh to treat other people. My way or no way. And she pulls it off. She never comes across as preachy. She simply comes across as a mother who loves her son and would stand in front of a bullet, traffic, would climb any mountain and crawl to any end of the galaxy to protect her son, even from just being a mean-spirited person. Joan Allen, in the 1993 magnificent Searching for Bobby Fischer, number 9 in our continuing series of the most underrated film performances. This has been episode 128 of the Confessions of a Not So Dangerous Mind podcast. I'd like to thank you all for spending some of your rainy, horrendous weather Saturday, if you're in New York, with me. But if you've caught this episode on the YouTube channel, enjoyed it, and have enjoyed the content, please click like, subscribe, share, comment, turn on those notifications. Or if you end up catching this episode on the audio platforms such as Spotify or iTunes, same general rule applies. Click like, subscribe, share, and turn on those notifications. I'll be back with episode 129 real soon. Till then, peace.